If you're trying to grow the very healthiest, tastiest food, it's essential that you know where your organic matter is at. Join me today while I probe a little bit deeper into this subject and find out why I'm stood next to a freshly harvested field and why that matters to you. Soil organic matter is such an essential part of healthy soil that it is unbelievable. That is because it provides the food and the house, in some cases, for the microorganisms that consume it and convert it into nutrients for our soil. Now, it's really important to understand that not all soil organic matter is equal, and that's precisely why I'm stood next to this field, because for years farmers would often think that their soil organic matter levels in their soil were fine because they chopped their straw. Basically, after harvest, they might run over it once more and chop the strands of straw a little bit finer, and that meant that next time the plough passed over, all of that straw was incorporated into the soil. And to an extent they are correct. They are adding organic matter, in this case a plant, the dried out remains of the harvest, to the soil. However, because it is so dry, and in fact this very field behind me has quite dry soil at the moment, it is very slow to break down. And that's because it lacks the moisture content. And I have talked previously about the importance of air, moisture, as well as food, in order for soil life to do its thing and to cycle organic matter into nutrients. So incorporating dry straw into soil is fantastic, but without the soil moisture or the starting moisture within the plant residue itself, it's going to be incredibly difficult for the soil microbes to do their thing and convert it into useful substances. Straw as a form of organic matter is what is referred to as lignin. That's to say, it's a more complex carbon compound, and as such it's going to take some energy and effort for microorganisms to break it down. That means it's even more important that moisture levels are correct, and as the material is generally starting off quite dry, it requires a higher level of soil moisture content in order for microbes to be in balance to break it down as we would want. The consequence of this, that in a field such as this, turning over the residues, the strands of straw from this season's harvest, placing it deeper underground in the soil, sometimes the plough will actually put that organic matter past the aerobic zone, so actually in a position within the soil structure where there aren't as many microbes capable of breaking it down. But adding it to the soil directly in this way means that it's going to take some time for it to break down. Let's have a little closer look at what's going on underneath the feet to see what's happening with the straw itself. Now here I'm just going to clear away. We can see it's an incredibly dry, dusty soil, and we can see how it's all just sitting on the surface at the moment of actually a fairly compact soil. And that in itself means that there's not really going to be much hope of this incorporating into the soil anytime soon. So now that I've dug a little way down into the soil, we can see that actually these crop residues haven't really got much of a hope of incorporating into this fraction, this upper fraction of the soil. And if we take a closer look down at this, we can see that there are in fact some fine roots from the crop that's gone in, and actually that's a really good point for a no-dig type system that you might be using in your allotment or when you're growing your own food. No-dig is incredibly important now. One of the huge benefits, of course, about this is fine root turnover. And here we go, I'm doing a much closer view of this. You can see in the soil here that there are in fact roots left over from the previous crop in exactly the area that we want, and those fine roots will, now that the plant has been harvested, will die off and in turn the organic matter that they are made of will incorporate into the soil, in that top fraction of the soil, exactly where we want it, so it can be broken down by microorganisms and made into food for future crops. What we're not seeing in this soil though is straw from previous seasons in a dry soil such as this, and this is my point. Dry straw left to lie on the surface of the soil is not going to be as effective as a compost. If by comparison we look at a straight compost, and this particular one is biologically active, it's actually a vermicompost, so it's already been partly decomposed already by worms before it's even added to the soil, which is great. We can see that the types of organic material that it's made up of are far more diverse, but also in an already degraded state, it makes it that much easier for the soil microbes to consume and turn over and turn into nutrients that we need for our plants and crops. And part of the reason it's already biologically active is because the moisture content is somewhere within the range of 50 to 60%, which is a great target to aim for if you're looking to have either a soil or a compost biologically active. So there we have it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. Now, I would love it if you reached out and got in contact with me if you've got questions or comments or have a burning issue that you really need some help with. Stick it in the comments beneath this video. I'll read all the comments, so I'll do my best to get back to you and help you however I can. See you on the next video.